Hello, my name is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Thank you for inviting me to speak to you today. I have been asked to help those of you who are fed up with it trying to explain the #MeToo movement that encourages women to speak up about their experiences with sexual harassment. Today, I want to give you an authentic resource so that you can be a real expert. Next time you are out with friends or talking about HR policy at work, you will be able to support your opinion with proof from history. Let me suggest that you learn about Hortensia. She was a pretty smart lady who lived in Rome over 2,000 years ago and delivered a very important speech to the rulers of Rome, the triumvirate. Now, let me tell you a little bit about her. She was a high-class lady who was well educated. Her father was a famous orator, so it is no surprise that Hortensia was also a persuasive public speaker too. The status for women in Rome was much like the status of women around the world today. Status depended upon your husband, your father, the men in your life. The Roman Republic was in the process of breaking down. Rome had been on a roll, but the dog-eat world of politics went crazy when Caesar took over and was assassinated in the year 44 before the Common Era. 2 years later, 3 powerful men ruled Rome together. This triumvirate decides to raise money for the war against the assassins of Julius Caesar by taxing the property of 1,400 rich and wealthy noblemen. Hortensia gives a powerhouse of a speech in the Roman Forum, rebuking the men for proposing to tax women to support wars that they had no part in starting and no part in conducting. She fights against taxation without representation. You can imagine how angry the guys were, but they could hardly manhandle all those angry noble ladies who accompanied Hortensia into the men's only political arena, the Forum. The rulers ended up reducing the number of women who had to pay tax to 400 of the richest ladies, and they also imposed a similar tax on men. Doesn't this story remind you of my career? A career in which I am proud to have advocated for gender equality and women's rights. People call me notorious. Please, dear class, make your discussions about gender equality more informed in our #MeToo world by including voices that are not in your movie theater. They made a documentary and a bioepic about me, but they never made a film about Hortensia, who lived in the latter years of the Roman Republic. You were all assigned her speech, and I assume you read it carefully. let's look at a scene of Hortensia's speech. The place she made her speech helps us understand the culture and values of the Roman society in which she lived. Hortensia made her speech in the Roman Forum in their biggest public space. It was a platform where men spoke publicly, and it was only men who spoke on that rostrum. Romans were a tough and courageous people, but they felt it was important to weigh things carefully before acting. The art of well-educated people speaking persuasively and debating publicly was important in Roman society. Hortensia exemplifies the virtues of her society. She was, number one, courageous, marching into the male-only forum to address the leaders. She was an advocate for, two, justice, using this value to convince the triumvirate that their decision lacked justice. And Hortensia was prudent, the third value, for she encouraged the all-male leadership to be prudent, meaning doing the right thing at the right time. Hortensia was successful because she exemplified Roman values of courage, justice, and prudence. Her education and her training gave her the tools to express these values to the leaders of the Roman Republic. Now, let's go to Hortensia's principle, which helps us understand our own cultural value. Hortensia announces that the women will never pay taxes for civil wars. Then she goes one step further. Hortensia declares that the women will not cooperate with the power elite against each other. She expresses the modern-day value of women backing each other up and sticking together. That is a value and a policy that is critical to the success of today's #MeToo movement. If you have any questions, I am happy to listen to your comments and respond. Yes, yes, yes. I felt like Hortensia's speech connects with American values, since one of the reasons for the American Revolution was no taxation without representation. The colonists felt that Britain was unfair. The colonists felt that it was unfair to tax people unless that people is somehow represented in the government. I hear that logic in Hortensia's speech from thousands of years ago. Next time I try to explain the #MeToo movement to my brother, I will definitely mention Hortensia as well as Your Honor. He liked your movie, by the way. Yes, I figure if Americans believe in no taxation without representation, then it will be easier and more logical for them to support gender equality. Thank you for your insightful comments, and if you would like me to reach out to your brother, feel free to ask for my support. Do we have any other questions? Yes, yes, yes. I see you. Please. I really like this Roman lady speech because it reminds me of when you, Your Honor, yourself said, and I'm quoting you, "It's about time. For so long women were silent, thinking there was nothing you could do about it. But now the law is on the side of women or men who encounter harassment, and that's a good thing." I really liked the part of the movie about you on the basis of sex when you quoted that 19th century abolitionist and attorney. I forget her name. Is Sarah Grimke. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, the one who wrote in that letter, that really old letter, 1837. Facts are important. Yeah, right, 1837, that letter, where Sarah Grimke, yeah, right, where she said, "I ask no favors for my sex. I surrender not our claim to equality. All I ask of our brethren is that they will take our feet from off our necks." I like that quote too. And time now for one last question. Thank you so much for being with our class today. As much as I admire Hortensia and all the women throughout history who have spoken up for women's rights, I found it sort of depressing to read her speech last night. Power and status and money still have not been able to correct the gender unfairness in our world. I hear what you're saying. All of us who support the hashtag #MeToo movement and are fighting for gender equality are standing on the shoulders of giants. We would not be aware and active if women before us had not been brave and vocal. We have come very far, and we have so far to go. Hortensia's speech is so encouraging. She is an important leader in the history of our movement. Thank you.